I was a cast member at Walt Disney World for 5 years. I used to use guests when I would only see them for about 10 seconds to test out jokes. Some work great, some work terrible, and this is a cast member story. So, during my years of working for Disney, from my college program to getting part-time, to getting full-time, and then staying with the company through the 50th anniversary, I had a lot of time to talk to guests and kind of learn what they like and what they don't like. So, especially working at Space Mountain, when people would be in the rockets, you go, you get sat in your rocket, then you get checked, and then you're going to get checked a second time. A person that's like actually checking the seatbelts. There's the person who gets you inside, they make sure you're sitting down, they send you over, right? When you're that last person who checks all the seatbelts, you've got about 20 seconds to check everyone and then send it. But after working there for a little bit, you learn that 20 seconds is way more time than you think you might need. In fact, you can get so fast at it that you can send rockets quicker, and the people at unload actually slow down the entire ride because they're not ready for the people to get out because it's taking them more than 20 seconds to like crawl out of those crazy Space Mountain vehicles. Well, during my time there, as well as at FastPass for different attractions or walking around wherever, I'd like to test out jokes. Sometimes as a cast member, you're busy and it's go, 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 and sometimes you are standing at the middle of nowhere just staring there, just waiting for someone to show up. Like, please, I have been standing at this FastPass or this standby, whatever, for so long. And you get to thinking, right? Ideas of what are you going to do later that day? What are you going to have for lunch? Or what kind of jokes can you make when people pop up? I'm sure you've seen the Monsters University hat. It happens to show up all over around Walt Disney World, Disneyland, a lot of places. It's probably the most popular hat other than Mickey ears, so you see it all the time and it allows you to do a joke that I was told, but I started to customize it a bit. I was initially told when you see someone wearing that hat, say, hey, congratulations for graduating from Monsters University. So there was that, and it worked good. Some people would get it, some people forgot what hat they were wearing, but I decided you can take that one step further. So when you see them wearing the hat, you walk over and you say, oh, congrats for going to Monsters University. What degree are you getting? Some people immediately know what they're going to say. They're like, oh, I went for scaring, and some will say, oh, I went for laughing. And if they don't say something, that's when you can quickly turn it into a longer interaction. So if they say, oh, I went for laughing, you go, oh, wow, good job. I heard that class is no joke. Or if they've got the hat and they say, oh, you know, I went for scaring, you go, ooh, wow, I heard those classes are a real nightmare. But if they try to get you and say, oh, actually, I went to door building, and they're trying to get one on you, they think you only know the laughing or the scaring jokes or whatever, you go, oh, absolutely, I've heard of those classes, it's great, I heard you get a job right after college, and if all those doors shut in your face and you don't get a position, well, you can make your own and go right through it. And that is a way to get people to laugh really fast off just a little piece of merchandise they have. Of course, when you see princesses going by, you can always say, oh, Princess Tiana, it's so fantastic to see you today. I'm excited about your new ride. Or if you see Rapunzel, you can say, oh, hello, Rapunzel. I gotta say, I like your new shorter haircut better. Anything like that. Those are quick little ones you can do. And if you saw my previous cast member story, I talked about how I kind of took the princess and Jedi and knights a little bit farther and actually got their autographs. You can test jokes, good or bad. And so sometimes I'd have jokes and they did not go so well. When the jokes went bad, it was nice when I was at Space Mountain because I could hit the send button and send them into the building and I'd never see them again. One of those jokes that it was questionable from the start, but I was like, well, some people might get it. If someone, I didn't care if this person was 3 years old, 80 years old, or anywhere in between, if they were wearing an Ariel shirt, I'd be like, oh, hello, Ariel, I'd like to be part of your world. Now, you can immediately see where that's kind of an issue. I was like, you know what, it's an iffy one, but maybe it just sounds iffy to me, I'm going to test it on people. So you try it for like a little kid, and they go, oh, it's so funny, you try it for like an older adult, like someone who's like 60 plus, and they thought it was cute. And then I tried it one time, and this woman was 30-ish years old, and they're with their kids, and I was like, oh, Ariel, you know, back from under the sea, I'd love to be part of your world. And this woman, her husband, I'm assuming, was right behind her. He said, what does that mean? And I went, oh, no. I wasn't like, I was just saying because of the Ariel shirt. And he's like, oh, you think you can hit on my wife because she's a princess? I was like, no, it's from the movie. And he goes, well, I've never seen the movie. And I said, sorry, boop, sent him. Never saw him again, and I was like, okay. Never did that a joke again after that. But I did do Ariel jokes when I worked at Flight of Passage. So at Flight of Passage, in case you don't know, it's a simulator and you get to fly over Pandora, the world of Avatar. It's at Animal Kingdom. If I'd see someone wearing an Ariel shirt there, it was nice to be able to be like, hey Ariel, first you swam, then you walked, now you're flying. I see you're getting all the things done, like you must be the princess of all the elements. So those kind of ones were easy and quick to do. I encourage people, if you're a cast member at Walt Disney World, team member, ambassador, any of the parks, you only see these people for a couple seconds, so you can test jokes. Now, I'm not saying that as to say something awful before sending people, but sometimes a joke, you just don't know if it's going to work or not. One of the things that was actually really important and kind of cool, it wasn't a joke, but an interaction that I could do with guests, I started noticing that a ton of people at Epcot would wear Dragon Ball Z merchandise. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't really know about the show. I've seen very, very little, but I understand sort of the idea. People are going for these Dragon Balls. So, after seeing enough people come and wear this Dragon Ball Z merchandise, I went and got this off Amazon. It was like $15, $20, and you can see I've only got 2 left. Of the 7 Dragon Balls, I would keep these with me in my pocket or whatever, and it's a Dragon Ball, right? It's cool. Again, I haven't really seen the show, so I don't know the importance. I know it's important to the show, but to me it's, wouldn't be the biggest deal in the world if someone handed this to me. But a lot of people at Epcot would be wearing Dragon Ball Z merchandise. And in the show, from what I looked up, you have to have all 7 Dragon Balls, then you can make this big wish with the dragon, right? So I thought, how cool would it be if you started handing these out? The guests are never going to find the other 7 because the chance of 7 other cast members that day doing the exact same thing is probably 0. I might have been the only person at Epcot doing it. But I would see someone walking by with a Dragon Ball Z shirt, and I would walk over and I would just give this to them. I would hand it to them before they even realized what was happening. I'd just go, hey. They'd stick their hand out, I'd stick their hand in, and I'd go, 6 remain. And I would just walk away. And I would walk back to my spot really fast. This is when I was at Epcot working for the shows at the American Adventure Pavilion. And at that time, I could walk around a lot. You weren't like stuck to a single place. So the fact that I could drop it off to them and then kind of bolt away before they could ask questions, and then I'd go back and kind of see. And one of my favorite memories, I'd given it to one guy that looked so confused. And then as I see him walking away, he starts looking at it and he's playing with it, and I see a big smile light up. So again, I haven't seen the show, but I also haven't seen every Disney movie, every Disney television show, and it's about coming to Walt Disney World, making memories, and having something really fun. And perhaps that person had never been recognized for their shirt. And while they were at Epcot, and there's the Japan Pavilion, which does have some anime stuff, it's certainly not a big part of Walt Disney World. If you actually want to know about the Dragon Ball Z theme park that's coming, I did a video on that, and you can kind of learn about a brand new one that's coming to Saudi Arabia. But generally, there's not really a way to go and engage in the parks for people that watch that show. So having one of these, being able to hand that out relatively cheap, can make a memory. There's a lot of things you can do as a cast member. There's a lot of different ways that you can encourage people or make memories, and some of them are free. Some of them might cost you as a cast member a couple dollars, but to me, I was like, I'm working at Walt Disney World. I want to make magic. Now, this one's a little bit more specific, but for Space Mountain, when someone was sat in the front row, I'd make sure to call them the captain. And I'd be like, okay, captain, you know you're in charge of everyone here. You can point down to where their feet go and go, hey, these are the gas and the brakes. I want to make sure you know how to get through this asteroid field. If you also remember, on Space Mountain, on side of your lap bars, there's a little pull-up part. It's usually for the cast members, for us to be able to check and make sure that your lap bar is all set and secure. But I would go and be like, okay, so grab this, left, right, forward, backward. And I was like, I believe you can do this, right? I've got another story I'll tell another time about a little girl that was very adamant about being the captain, and she was in charge. But you can go and tell people, hey, and get even more interactive with some of the things. For the older rides that don't necessarily have as much of a storyline like Space Mountain, that it's really a roller coaster in the dark where you're going in space, you can kind of add your own little twist. One of the other ones I used to say is when they were up there, if they were wearing a Star Wars shirt, I'd be like, oh, okay, I see you're the pilot today. What kind of ship are we flying? X-Wing, TIE Fighter. And some people would get it. Some people would immediately be like, this is a Star Destroyer. It doesn't have to look like a Star Destroyer. I know it's Space Mountain, but it's fun. It's make-believe. We're inside Magic Kingdom, right? One of the interesting stories with that is I told a lady, hey, are you driving a TIE Fighter, or is this an X-Wing, a Star Destroyer? And she said, what? And I said, oh, you're wearing a Star Wars shirt. And she said, oh, I've never seen the Star Wars movies. I just like the aesthetic. And I said, okay, that's fine, I guess. Boop, sent the button, sent them into the mountain, whatever. I want to make magic. I want these people to remember their experience. They've spent hundreds and thousands of dollars and hours, and they're going on these rides. When you come here, I really, really, really want you to enjoy yourself, and I want you to have a great time. So I wanted to figure out jokes. I wanted to figure out little Easter egg things to give away. It made memories for them. It made memories for me. And that's a cast member story.